Hi, welcome to what's kind of like an update video for the channel. Um, Things are kind of stalled at the moment, so I thought I'd just do something a little bit different. If you're wondering why it's so long, it's kind of like a painting watch along, not a tutorial. I don't want to like claim like copy what I'm doing. But anyway, here's the map. We've got a lot of orange here. Darren's sort of leading the way in territories with Nick and Martin, Orlok and Goliath factions not far behind. Darren's fighting pit almost got blown up, and I was able to change my archetype device into a settlement. But that's how things stand. I'm not going to run through all like the triumphs and stuff at the moment, but just this is sort of how things are going. As in, Darren's cultist gang is miles ahead, whilst everyone's sort of like fairly close behind. In terms of like a battle report, I have no idea. A lot of like just adult life is caught up at the moment. I can't complain. One of those was me getting married, so at least some of it's been nice. But yeah, so I don't know when the next battle report will be. I normally seem to get a video out once every 4 months. I could see this, you know, might be a big gap. So, or I don't know if it's the end or if things are stalled. So, hopefully the next I've got an idea of another battle report I'd like to do. I just want to sort of like figure out if it's possible. Not many neat plans yet, but I'm hopeful that I can do something cool. Anyways, that's sort of the news and the updates. I hope if you are one of the few subscribers that actually watch this, that you've enjoyed our battle ports and all the stuff I've been trying to do over the past 2 years. And hopefully I'll have more in the future. But right now, things have kind of stalled. So yeah, enjoy this video of me doing some new artwork that's all digital, and I'm now going to chat about that instead. So yeah, over to me painting. So the idea for this was I was going to introduce. There's some narrative stuff that we do within a Discord of the campaign, and I sort of wanted to. I sort of realised that if I am lucky to have this campaign continue, and we're only halfway through season one, and that's because I started it. I planned like a 3-season arc. I knew I sort of wanted an introductory, basic opening season, a more board gamey style, advanced second season with a very narrative third season that would tie everything off, and then that would be, and we'd probably play so much Necromunda by that point that we'd probably never touch it again. But what I wanted to do was, I realised that I wanted to introduce not directly the antagonist of like the story, but like his right hand man, and so I wanted to just like do an image to sort of like get an idea of, and start to like push forward within the story who this faction will be, and that they're very early on not going to be making too much noise, that they're just going to be here doing stuff in the background, and maybe some of the players. I did a whole thing with Rob, who's the Vansar player. He got to do a narrative event with this character, and got to learn some backstory that other characters don't know. Other players don't know. So I thought it'd be cool just to like introduce somebody, do a bit of artwork to solidify my ideas. I'm not a fan of like just saying, "Oh, this is be a cool idea. This would be a cool idea if I do this and that," rather than just let's get it down, let's get it done. So, anyways, on to the painting. What I'm doing here is I'm just mostly blocking out stuff and sort of figuring out the structure. And I've already gone and tried to make a palette. I went to a color palette, went to online, went to a color palette site, took a picture of some of the colors I want to use, and played about, see if I got anything interesting out of that color palette. Some very muddy colors here. apart from that, obviously hot pink, which I think is why I chose that one. I really liked that, but I know I wanted purple and green. That's sort of sometimes the channel's colours at times, and I know I wanted not just to be doing those two. So very early on, I'm just doing purple and green because they contrast from each other on the colour wheel, as you can see up here. Purple's opposite green on the colour wheel, so they contrast nicely. But what to go in between? What to do that's just like different colours, so it's not too flat. I'm not a fan of using black too much. Like I like, you obviously got to go dark, and you've got to have what's called like tonal depth. So you've got to have high like light points, as in like white and that and shiny bits. But you've also got to have dark areas, and as long as there's good tonal value between those two, you should have an interesting image. If you don't, it could look very flat and very washed out. And a way I like to do that is by making sure that I've got interesting colours to play about with that go dark but aren't black. So what I'll do here is to like what I'm doing now is I want to like darken off these areas in the background. I think I'm struggling to find the right brush to use. But I don't want to use black. I want to darken it off. But I think I say that I'm going to use. I think I'm using grey. But I think I'm playing about with like using the dark purple instead, just so it's got a bit of colour in there. But I think I've just given up, and I've gone, right, I just want to soften and darken this up, so I've just taken the grey. Here we go, I start moving about to purples here now. Just like it's just a hint of colour in here, and you wouldn't really notice it if you were like, oh, just casually looking, going, that's a really sort of grey purple. You just go, that's grey, but it's just really to avoid either just using like black and white, or just having like one colour or two colours. It's to make sure that I'm playing about like putting a bit of greens and browns in here to sort of like that like dark, really dark earthy green. I would have never considered that, so that's why I use a colour palette picker, just to like pull something out that I wouldn't sort of naturally think of. I think that brown was a little bit too much there early on. So early doors, what I do, block everything out and not really commit too much, and really sort of focus on structure and where everything's going to sit. A big problem in what you could do if you go too far ahead and start making something look really nice in one area, when you have to come back and do the other stuff to make it look nice, you can kind of go, oh, and motivate yourself. I was like, oh, I want it all to be done now. So I try and do as many steps for the whole thing, the whole page in one go, so that like I don't focus down on one area and then have to pull myself back and go back, and focus on that. So it's trying to stay wide visually as much as possible. Don't zoom in. I'll zoom in later and start putting in details, but it's like hold off that as long as possible. Obviously, what we got is our character here looking over the internal lake here of the dome over to the other side. He's saying he's a tourist to our players, but he's got designs on this place, so he's sort of looking out over, as in he's like scoping the place out. So yeah, I'm really still playing about with colour, no detail here. Thinking about light, I'm thinking about how like the background is going to be. So if there's this like really warm pink light, bits are going to shine off the roof here and reflect back on there. I made it soft. I wish I put maybe some glints of like highlights there, just to the way like even at extreme distance. Like if you see a plane flying in the sky, you can catch your eye, just like a glint of light bouncing back into your eye, and that can be really quite sharp. So I wish I did that, but I was worried about like putting too much detail here. So now I'm starting to zoom in and just like sketch out the buildings. I'm still keeping it, I think, kind of rough. I don't know if I'll go over this layer another time again, but I think it's kind of like I knew I wanted like the big water plant, and that's what I'm sort of focusing on here. So there's like a couple of key buildings that I'm sort of focusing on. But when you have to like just do ephemera of buildings in between, it can get a bit, I don't know, you can sort of like find yourself working your way into patterns, you don't mean to do, like a lot of like squares and blocks and stuff that you don't. It looks a bit boring. Yeah, and that's time with visual reference where you have to go look out in the world or look out online at industrial buildings will help because you'll start to see inspired by those some shapes that you wouldn't really think of. I think here what I'm trying to do is just put some buildings in the background, like they're further away with the old aerial haze. I don't think it works. Do I get rid of that? Don't know. I think the great thing what you could do with digital stuff is that you could just take the layer and soften it down if you need to be, and it's sort of it's just a way of cheating, getting a way of rid of it, or I don't know, adding detail in the background where it's just like, there we go, look, I softened that down because I like to put it in. Seems too harsh because it's seen the thing when it's further away. There's more air molecules in the way, so they should be soft. But obviously you want that, you want to be able to draw that detail in, and that's such a handy ability. Just go, I don't like it, soften it down to the point it looks sort of like in place a bit better. Yeah, I think here we go. I noticed that in my colour values here, I've not got enough like white or light areas, so I think that's where I go in and try and add like a vibrancy in the background, like there's stuff going on, people live back there, it's very vibrant, a lot of light, and it's emanating out towards us, so the shadow should come towards us, out from there. It's like to make you look at there's a reason why to look into the horizon. There we go. So now I'm going to add shadow. Yeah, so I think I liked that. I think when I started putting the blue in, I was like, okay, that seems like a good idea. Let's sort of really make, but rather than white highlights, put blue in, just because it contrasts so well off the sort of like the pink. As I was saying earlier, I didn't really want to make this like a tutorial. Like I know some of what I'm doing, but I'm not like a pro. And I'm sure be plenty of people going, "Oh, you shouldn't do it that way. Shouldn't do it that. That's not correct. That's not the proper way of doing things." I don't know. As long as it looks good at the end, right? Maybe maybe some like doesn't look good in the end anyway. Or you're showing off. It's I don't know. I thought it'd be fun. Okay, now here I'm going into detail, and obviously I've gone really dark. I've gone with the blue, and it's like you'd think, it would look, it just looks like it's black anyway. But I think when you work with color instead of just pure black, you can get this sort of like blacker than black effect because you're working within the contrasts of what's around it. Yeah, and I don't want to leave too much out, like just in case. I'm not a fan of it. So, when like people do art, like stuff on like this, and it's like on YouTube, and it's like, okay, just need to fill all this stuff in, and then it's like they go from like a sketch to like almost like the finished deal, and you're like, hang on, you missed a lot of steps there. Like, come on, like they're a magician and they're hiding their secrets. It's like, come on, shows all the mistakes, or when you weren't as confident, or it wasn't as put together. So here's an example where I've done all the detail, I've zoomed in somewhere else, and now I've got to come back to do where I've done less steps. So because I've not really included these boats in like as much back and forth as the rest of the buildings there, it's kind of like, now I have to sort of like, you can't cheat them. You can't cheat those steps. A lot of time now working on him to get him right, but it just, I don't know. I wasn't happy with the end product, and I think it was kind of the case of I should have worked on his structure or gone back and reworked it and given the same level of care I did with the landscape, like I said with the boat sort of thing. You can't cheat those steps, and I don't try and cheat them. I try and do them now, but I really should have. I don't know. I think I just struggled. Maybe that's just a lack of practice. I've had to put out of practice from doing this for him a bit, and I don't know. But I think what you got to see is a bit of a polishing of a turd. Is it fun watching someone who's perfect at this stuff? I don't know. I watch other the stuff on YouTube where it's like, oh, they're really good, and it is cool. Is it fun? Is it more fun to watch someone like mess up a bit and then see how they get out of it? Right, I'm trying to do the other leg here. I'm trying to get two legs in here. I want my one leg cocked off a bit, like it's not putting his full weight on one, and one more stood proud. But I zoom out and it sort of looks like, I don't know, like it looks really wrong, and like it doesn't look right why the cloth at the back would be ridden up. Yeah. Yeah, this is definitely gonna watch me dig myself out of a hole and just go down. Also, the colours. This is what I also mean about the colours being really flat, right? So, because at the moment it's just all purple, and it's purple with like, you know, tone, you know, of like a bit of white and black in it. So I'm start adding green here because it's just like that dark green looks blacker than the black. I don't know, and is that adding that texture as well, just to really, I don't know, break up the shapes. Oh man, I did enough. Also, I think just to like delete some of the work that's underneath it. I do go group them up there, flatten them. Oh, I think I flattened them down so I could cut into it and change its shape a bit. So this is me definitely me not showing off. I think when I got to here, I was like, yes, this is right now because I'm just you can see like because it's quite I think a gentle tool I've put in. It's like glazing flat. Okay, is that what I used? Right, but obviously each stroke is quite gentle, so I can build up layers on layers upon it, and I think that's giving me more control of like uh, of the structure and the form of it. Yeah, that's what I've zoomed out. That's much better. There we go. So yeah, I think what I did. So I think the objective there was take the original structure, darken it down, so that then I could build more mid tones on top of that, sort of like as over that sort of structure. I think that's got me out of a jam there. So here you go, back with this like chalk one again. Just add some nice extra bit of texture there. So when you like light on the pen on the screen or whatever, it just doesn't fully put it in. But when you want a more solid line, you can do that as well. Tricky bit here was obviously I want to get obviously the relief of a mask off the face, but that looks a little bit unnatural. So how do I do that without? How does that look right? I think do I just go straight and add the strap? I think the straps are almost like not in a natural position, maybe, but they're just there to hint at that. So you go, oh, it's a mask, and that's sort of the reason why it doesn't so sit sort of right is that I don't know. So it just I don't, oh yeah, tricky one. So a lot less layers in this stone building. Um, I'm sort of more. I'm not like I'm not happy at this point, but I'm very much like this feels it's moving in the right direction a lot earlier. So doing a quick bit of tiling here. So I did not think about it at all. I was like, oh, what's going to be on the floor there? And I just like very quickly just reference some of the colours on the other side of the water. And then I realised, obviously, if you've got that light, that pink light emanating, it's going to have to bounce off stuff on this side as well, wherever it hits. So that's why I've just put that in there. Okay, so that's me just going, I think, over some of the levels there, making sure everything, nothing's missing there, balanced everything right. Get rid of the colour palette and just check and save. And I think that's me done. Yep, so I hope you've enjoyed me going through this painting. Like I said, it's not a tutorial. I hope to get it better. It's practice makes perfect. So I think the more of these I do, the more images I practice, I hope to get better myself. So if I ever do one of these in the future, I hope it's even better. There is another vista I did before as a sort of a comparison from this one of Dome Resic, our setting for the campaign. Yeah, here it is. I liked the flush bit, but I didn't think it was as, like, bigger scale. Seems quite small, closed in. Anyways, and I use that for sort of the background images. Anyways, hope you enjoy the show, and I'll get something new out on this channel sooner rather than later. Bye.